I'm Vicky Saumel, the joint coordinator for LT-SIG, together with Sophia Mavridi. And we are kicking out this month's LT-SIG webinar. We have been holding monthly webinars about teaching online to help teachers and support teachers in this strange COVID-19 times. And it's my pleasure to have Joe Dale today. And over to Phil for the introduction. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this very short and brief. Joe is an independent languages consultant. He does so many things online to do with teaching and learning, and he runs his own tilt sessions and so many other things. He can probably introduce himself. So he's presented for us before. He kicked off our LT-SIG Fridays earlier this year. And without further ado, let's hand straight over to Joe. And away you go, Joe. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Phil. Thank you ever so much, Vicky, for this opportunity. I'm really delighted to be here. I have another webinar in an hour, so I'm going to speak for about 50 minutes today. As you can see on the screen, I'll be talking about some different suggestions in which we can support the promotion of speaking in and out of the COVID classroom, or the COVID safe classroom, should I say, through a blended learning approach. So my background is I was a French teacher, a languages teacher for 13 years, teaching secondary school level for 3 years, and including in North Wales. It's lovely to have Pam in North Wales with us tonight as well. And then 10 years on the Isle of Wight, which is where I still live. And I taught there in a middle school, 9 to 13-year-olds for 10 years. And for the last 10 years, I've been an independent languages consultant. I normally travel around the world running training in places like Australia, North America, Europe, the Middle East, South America, etc., etc. But of course, since March, I've not been able to do much traveling at all. I've had to turn my business on its head and do everything via webinar. My contact details are on the screen there. So I'm at Joe Dale on Twitter. I've recently surpassed the 30,000 threshold of followers, which is a little bit crazy if you think about it. But anyway, it has taken me 13 years to get there. But if you want me to retweet any questions about anything to do with language and technology, I'm more than happy to do so. I'm a big fan of communities, and I'm more than happy to connect with anybody who would like to connect with me if you're not already. My email address, as you can see, is joedale@talk21.com. So if there's anything you'd like me to help you with, or anything that you can't understand from my presentation, let me know. I'm going to share the whole presentation with you as I normally do on the last slide, and you'll be able to get it that way. I've got my chat running on my second screen, so I can see if you want to ask questions. It's helpful if you put a Q in front of your question to make it clear to me what is a question and what is not a question. Thank you, Sophia, for writing your comment about questions there. So if you want to ask me a question, then that's fine. We are recording the session as normal. So if it's just a question of like repeating something, if you just refer back to the recording, that would be lovely. And yeah, let's make a start. Phil, we are definitely recording, aren't we?
Yes, we are recording. Yes, we are.
Cool. Phew. Right. Okay. Hey, brilliant. Okay, so this is what I'm going to try and cover in the next 50 minutes. I'm sure a lot of you know Flipgrid already, but I'm going to do a deep dive into Flipgrid. I'm also going to look at Flippity, which maybe some of you are not as familiar with, and how you can use it to make sentence builders. And QWIQR conversations, I would imagine that a lot of you haven't heard of before, which I'm going to demonstrate live. If all the tech works, it should be fine. And you can see I've used that Bitmoji character at the bottom there with the very appropriate on-message mask. And you can see it says, "Our voices have power." That was not me that wrote that. That was a Bitmoji tool, which generated the image. And I think that's a really important message of the power of communities. Our voices have power. And what's really important at the moment, I think, more than ever, is that we work together and we support each other during the pandemic. Okay, so that's what I'm going to try and achieve in the next wee while. Right. So is this the new normal languages classroom? Phil mentioned the Tilt webinars, which I co-host and help to organize with my friend Helen Myers for the Association for Language Learning. They're completely free to join, and you're more than welcome to come along. Similar to the LT-SIG webinars, it's fantastic that different language associations are putting these ideas together and different groups. It's wonderful. If you want to see any of the recordings of the Tilt webinars, Tilt stands for Technology and Language Teaching, by the way, just go to my YouTube channel, which is available at Joe Dale 100, which is here, Joe Dale 100. Let me just put it in the chat for you. And you can access all those recordings. If you go to the Association for Language Learning London branch as well, just do a search for ALL London webinars, then you will find a whole database of all the sessions we've done so far, which Helen Myers has put together with all the tags and information about each session. So it's a real treasure trove of ideas around supporting teachers during the pandemic. Now, Sophia Mavridi, who's with us today, she very kindly gave us a presentation back in September, I think it was, if I remember correctly, around different types of classroom that you might find yourselves in. I think these images are particularly apt at the moment. You'll see that there are perspex screens between the students. On the left-hand side, these are trainee teachers from Leicester University, which is where Sophia is from. And then you've also got a primary school in Malaysia, Alice Smith School, which also has perspex screens as well. Oh, I'm sorry, Sophia, back in August. There's been so many webinars, I forget sometimes. Okay. Now, what Sophia did in her session, which is why I'm referring to it, is she asked people to sort of talk about the different classrooms that you find yourself in. So that'd be really handy now for me to know if you are either one, teaching completely remotely. In other words, you're at home, everyone else is at home, and you're teaching that way. Are you in a hybrid situation whereby you are face-to-face in the classroom, but some students are accessing you via their laptops, via Zoom, etc.? Are you purely teaching face-to-face or something in between? It would just be interesting to know. If you could put that in the chat for me, I can then respond to that appropriately. So yeah, is this the new normal languages classroom? I don't know if it's possible to turn off the waiting room, so I'm not constantly getting sounds happening at the same time as I'm speaking. That'd be great. You can see bottom left of the screen, I've put the links to the different tweets which I'm referring to. So I can see that Vicky is remotely now, but soon hybrid. Pamela's teaching adults face-to-face. Okay. Some at home, some at school. Brilliant. Thanks, Phil. That's great. That should stop all those notifications and pinging noises and what have you. That's really interesting. Thanks, everybody. So this is a graphic which Tom Sherrington produced, who is Teacherhead on Twitter. He has a blog, teacherhead.com. He's an educational consultant now, former head teacher, who has been, again, very active in webinars and what have you. And this image really struck me as being a very powerful image representing potentially what our new normal looks like in classrooms. It'd be interesting to know whether this replicates, if you are teaching face-to-face, if this is what is happening. In other words, that there's a yellow and black exclusion zone, if you like, at the front of the class, and the teacher is not allowed to move around the classroom to then check the children's work, to do assessments, to give feedback and what have you. And therefore, if that is the case, how challenging must it be for the children to do speaking? There are lots of schools which don't allow speaking to happen, or they ask children to say, come up the front and then present from the front without, the normal things that language teachers are used to doing of pair work and group work and all the rest of it, which clearly is it puts language teachers at a huge disadvantage. So what are some of the solutions for combating that? So again, I thought that graphic was very pertinent. So one of my friends, who is Esmeralda Salgado, who is a head of languages at King's Ely School in Cambridgeshire, she's been an amazing advocate for the use of technology, particularly during lockdown. She's a member of the MFL Twitterati, which I haven't mentioned yet. So if you haven't heard of the MFL Twitterati, it's a group of language teachers, language consultants, and language organizations in the UK and in Ireland. And I'll just write that in the chat, the tag. So it's MFL Twitterati. If you just have a search for that hashtag, let's say for 10 minutes every day while having a cup of coffee, you'll find gems every single time that you do that. So Esmeralda has been amazing in providing lots of resources, lots of ideas during the pandemic as well as before, but particularly recently she's been writing a whole different range of very rich blog posts around what she's doing with her own practice in dealing with the current situation. So she wrote a blog post recently called Tackling Speaking from Key Stage 3 to the GCSE exam. So Key Stage 3, if you aren't aware, is sort of 11 to 14-year-olds in England, should I say, and then or England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And then GCSE is the exam that they take at the age of 16. So in other words, the equivalent of K-12 in the States is what we have in the UK, or England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. We'll have to be very careful of these things, because obviously in Scotland it's completely different. So in that example blog post, she gives different suggestions on how you can use technology, which I'm not going to go through right now, but I think that's a really nice starting point. And her blog in general is brilliant for having a look at. So particularly focusing on speaking, this was a pertinent question which came up recently. As you can see, Rachel Grice here is saying, can someone please remind me what the decision or rules are now about choral repetition and speaking work? So this is a very pertinent question, which has been asked by quite a few people. Steve Smith, who I'm sure you know, if you don't know, he's SP Smith 45 on Twitter. He's amazing, a real pedagogue, fan, and particularly fan of research-based teaching. So if that's your bag, then I would definitely follow him and check him out and all the resources that he produces. As you can see here, he's saying, my understanding is there are none. Great. Baliseko, who's also Claire Seckham, a friend of mine from the northeast of England, inquired with the DFE, Department for Education, and there was no response. How helpful during a pandemic. So as you can see there, then Claire has said, choral speaking is being treated by most head teachers in the same way as singing. My primary settings, I'm allowed to do choral speaking with groups of up to 15 children at a time. Ultimately, it's up to your head teacher and their risk assessment. So that's really, really key. I don't know if it's the same in your school, but obviously you need to follow, the guidelines, be it from the head teacher, or if there were guidelines from the government, then you have to follow those for obvious reasons. So I think it's really a shame, let's say, to put it lightly, that the government haven't made it very clear with guidelines around sort of singing and speaking for modern language teachers, because it puts people in this grey area, which is very confusing. But it would seem that it's really down to your risk assessment. But anecdotally, looking on Twitter, it seems that lots of people are not doing speaking. So therefore, what do you then do if you want to promote speaking? And also, that's been, again, a very important thing to say in the context of language teaching in the UK is that, or in England, etc., is that the government have decided to not have a speaking exam for GCSE when they're 16 in 2021 because of the risk of transmission of COVID. And so as a result of that, they've replaced it with what they're calling an endorsement, which means that it's down to essentially the teachers to we finally had some guidance now, having waited a long time, some guidance around the endorsement and what that means. So there won't be perhaps the same requirement of speaking in the classroom this year, and clearly we hope that that's going to change next year, and we'll be back to doing all the speaking activities that we're used to doing. Which is not to say that speaking is not important. Speaking is incredibly important, and there are lots of teachers who are trying to be creative and finding ways through this, some of which I'm going to be sharing today. So this is literally the reply that Claire got from the government when she asked about this particular question. And as you can see, it's very vague, it's very general, it's not specific at all. Essentially, the answer is pointing Claire towards a government link, which gives general advice about COVID-19 guidance for schools. So nothing in particular, because presumably if they did say something in particular, it would then make them liable, wouldn't it? But anyway, not wanting to be too political about this, but there we are. So what can we do? Well, one example is Flipgrid. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know Flipgrid already, but I'm just going to sort of go through a couple of slides now, and then I'm going to demonstrate a few ideas with Flipgrid. So this is Jane Bassnett on the left-hand side, who's been a big fan of Flipgrid for quite a long time now. And if you haven't seen Flipgrid before, it's essentially a way in which you can record videos, either as standalone videos known as Flipgrid Shorts, or you can create grids, which are now referred to as groups. There was a big update in August of 2020. And what were grids are now called groups. And then within a group, you can have topics. So a topic is like a lesson, and a group is like a class. It's owned by Microsoft. It's completely free to use. You can make unlimited grids, or groups, should I say now, unlimited topics. And lots of teachers are using it for asynchronous speaking practice. So on the left-hand side there, you've got Jane with an image of some grammar. I think that's like the simple future in French. She's then annotating over the top with the pen tool. She's speaking, and everything is being saved like a flip model, essentially. On the right-hand side, you've got a screenshot of a grammar point, in this case, the perfect tense using être as the auxiliary. So she's got the screenshot from PowerPoint, she's annotating it, and she's recording her voice at the same time. On the left-hand side, you've got a teacher whose name is Sam Carey. I'll just write that in the chat for you. So it's SAM space KARY, and he has a fantastic YouTube channel called the New EdTech Classroom, which I would really encourage you to check out. He's done lots of videos around EdTech and a few on Flipgrid in particular. On the right-hand side there, you've got Jess from Flipgrid just talking about some of the ways you can use Flipgrid. And then I'm just going to go to the next page, talking a little bit about Sam. So that's Sam on the right-hand side, loving his hair for obvious reasons. And you can see that he's done another video recently called Assigning Work with Topics and Groups, which is really fantastic. I'd really recommend checking that out if you're using Flipgrid. And then on the left-hand side, you've got Mike Tolfson from Microsoft, who is talking about the new feature of text comments. So it's not just about the video, it's also text comments. And I'm going to talk about how you can disguise the children's faces as well if you're concerned about, for privacy reasons, of the children appearing on videos. So last one on here, you've got a screenshot of a school in the Middle East, top left, and you can see that this was done this screenshot was a tweet back in April. Some really lovely videos from Year 9 this morning on Flipgrid, even got a subjunctive, such communicative confidence, which is just great. We may not be face-to-face, but Zoom, Flipgrid, and Google Hangouts are our next best things. You've then got the screen recording feature, which I'm going to show in a moment, and then Flipgrid, the fact that it's now a Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge extension as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a bit of live demonstration. So I'm going to click Exit and go here, and then I'm going to go to a new page, and I'm going to go to flipgrid.com. There we are. The beauty of doing things live is you never know whether it's going to work or not, but let's just try it. Right, so then I click Educator Login. Okay, should log me in like this. There we are. And I'm going to click Create a Group. So I'll just do the whole thing from scratch. Normally, I would obviously recommend going private, so that you need to have the student email or student username. If it's a student email, it has to be a Microsoft or Google school email address, in other words, from your domain. So that's what I would recommend, and getting parental permission as well for anything you publish, if it's for K-12 or for secondary or primary age children. For now, I'm just going to make a public one, so I'll just call it LTSIG. We'll come up with the join code. I can leave that as it is, or I can change it like that, and that's available. Brilliant. So then I click Next. Okay. Right, I could duplicate topics from other topics that I've already got in my account, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to click Skip, and you can see that there is Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams integration, which is fantastic. So let's go to Group. I'm going to add a topic, so let's go for it. So let's give it a title, LTSIG Saturdays, and then we'll put example text. You do have to write something in the prompt there, so that's why I'm doing that there. Right, I appreciate that for some of you this might be, obvious, but hopefully there'll be a few people that haven't seen this before. I'm going to choose the amount of time I record for. It's got closed captions, which is very, very nice. Also, feel free to write down your experience of using Flipgrid in the classroom. You can see here that it has closed captions in a range of languages. I was doing a session with a group of Italian teachers recently. One of them spoke in Italian, and it was able to create a transcript automatically after a couple of minutes. And then it also allowed you to see the closed captions on the screen, which is absolutely fantastic. That's a new feature. Topic moderation is now turned on by default. It used to be that wasn't the case. So I'm going to show you how topic moderation works. And then I'm going to click Create Topic like this. Okay, so then we click All Set. Okay, and now here you've got the record a response option. So I'm going to click Record a Response. As you can see here, it's saying that I can't use it right now because my camera is being used. So what I have to do is I have to stop my camera in Zoom, and then I click Retry Camera, and it will now come up like this. Here we are. So I then can record myself as the teacher asking a question in the target language like this. Hi, class. I'd like to ask you a question. For example, what did you do last weekend? Can you make sure that you use the perfect tense and that you use the correct forms of the past participles? Good luck. Okay, I can now click next. Like this. Hi, class. I'd like to ask you a question, for example. Okay, I can click add more, so I can have a number of different videos going back to back if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to click next. By default, your first name plus first initial of your second name comes up. You can change that to whatever you want. You can also upload a selfie. You can take a selfie like that, but it does it automatically for you, which is really nice and a nice time saver. So I just upload this now. There we are. And you can see here that it doesn't give me any other options because I'm logged in as the teacher. When I show you in a moment, when I'm logged in as a student, it will show you other options that you can do. So if I click complete, that's all good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click here and view the Flipgrid topic that I've made as a student. So you can see here, it says moderated, record a response, and it's moderated. I'm going to click record a response here. And it's asking me to log in. So I'm logging in as a student. Okay, so I'm going to click remember me and click join with Google. I'm going to log in with my Google account like this. Okay, logging in. And now I'm going to just run through some of the effects that you can now do. So one thing you can do is click on the filters option and you can click pixelate, which means you can then hide yourself, in other words. So let's go for it. Okay, one of the things you can do to disguise your identity is using the filter called Pixel, which allows you to look as if you've been that you've committed some sort of crime and you're being hidden by the police. There we are. Then you click next. Okay, one of the things you can do to disguise your pause, click next again and submit. Okay. Now, once the video goes up onto my, before I talk about that as well, can you see it now says download QR code, download video, download selfie, and it also points out the fact you've got the my.flipgrid.com link, which means if you go to that, it will allow you to see all the videos that you've made on Flipgrid, which is great as a student. Right, if I click complete, you can see here that the video is being moderated. So what you can now do as the teacher is go back here, go to Educator Dashboard. So I'm going back in as the teacher now. And you can see that I'm clicking here, going to the LT-SIG group, click here, okay. And as you can see here, it says hidden. And that's because of the fact that my video has been moderated. So I can then watch the video. If I click here. Okay, one of the things you can do to disguise your identity is, okay, so that's the video. Now, if I click on feedback, you can see that I can record feedback, but that feedback will be private. I can also write a comment here, which also will be private. You can see here, it says copy feedback link, email feedback. So if I click record feedback, this is feedback, me as the teacher giving feedback to me as the student, if that makes sense. Let's go for it. So I watched your video, Joe. I couldn't quite see exactly who you were because you were using the pixel feature, but I recognize your voice. Never forget that voice, and loved your presentation. Great stuff. But I noticed you need to work on A, B, and definitely C. Keep up the good work. Right, then you click next. So I watched your video, Joe. I couldn't click next again. Click confirm. And then up it goes on to Flipgrid. Right, complete. Right, so now you can see now this is now in blue, because of the fact that I've then added my feedback. So what I could do is I could click copy feedback link and then share it via the learning management system that I'm using, or I could email the private feedback as well. And the student gets a really nice sort of digest of the information. There's also a rubric that you can add as well, but I haven't got time to do this right now. And you've also got the closed captions there as well. Right, so let's go back to here. And this is, it's still being moderated, the video. So I can click active. Okay, that can now be seen. So if I go back to the join code, right, you can see now that you can see my video here, but it's still moderated. So if I want to turn moderation off, what I do is I go to Educator Dashboard like this. I go to LT-SIG. Okay, I go to Actions and Edit Topic. And then I deselect the moderation topic option, and now I'm good to go. So let's go back in now as a student. Okay, and show you a few other things. Right, so record my video. Right, if I click on effects, I can click on frames. That's quite nice. You can have these sorts of backgrounds like this sort of thing. If you want to look a bit groovy, you can go back. You can actually, let's get rid of that frame. There we are. You can go back, you can click on effects. You've got emojis. If you want to hide your face again, then you can click on one of these and it should appear on the screen in a minute, hopefully. Is it gonna appear? There we are. Takes a little bit of time for it to appear. Right, there we are. I can then hide my face and record like this. Okay, so this is me recording my video, hiding my face using an emoji over the top. Right, click next again, click submit. Okay, there we are. Click complete. Right, record a response, effects. Text is sort of self-explanatory. Drawing is self-explanatory as well. The photo option is quite nice. So let's imagine I want to find a photo. So let's go to a website like Photos for Class, like this. Okay, and I put in beach, like this, and click Find Photos. Right, let's find a beach that I want to use. So let's go for, let's have a look. I want to have a landscape picture, ideally, and I want one. Let's just give me a second. Let's find, there we are, perfect. Right, so I'm going to click this one, download the image. There we are, there it is. And now I'm going to go back to Flipgrid and I'm going to click photo. I'm now going to drag and drop the image here. What's nice about Photos for Class is you get the attribution here. Can you see automatically appearing? So I know legally I'm allowed to use this website, which is great. And let's put that in position. Let's put that, say, there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my Bitmoji Chrome extension. And I'm going to do a search for boat like this. And let's see what, right, there we are. Can you see? I've got this boat here. I'm going to right click that and click Save Image As. That's going to now allow me to download that image to here. It's downloaded there. And now I'm going to click on Effects, Photo, and I'm going to now drop that over the top. Can you see? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that off on the side there, and I'm going to click Record. Okay, when I go to the beach, I absolutely love to have a little paddle in the sea on my little boat. It's so much fun, particularly if the weather is nice. Cool. There we are, and I can then click next. Okay, when I go to the beach, I absolutely love to have a little paddle in the sea on my little boat. It's so much fun. Okay, you get the idea. Then you could click Add More. You could add another photo with another Bitmoji character, make up a whole like digital storytelling video if you wanted to, with all the videos all running together in one compilation. But because I'm a bit short on time, I'm not going to go through exactly how to do that. But hopefully that makes sense. Then I click Next, Submit, and it's going to upload the video now. I'm now going to quickly show you the drawing option, which if I click here, I'm going to click Effects and I'm going to click Board. Okay, I'm going to click the white one, and you can see now that I'm on the screen on the left-hand side and I've got the board on the right-hand side. So now if I click Effects and I click Draw and I choose a color like black, and then I start to record. Let's go for it. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw on the screen. I'm going to write the word hello, which is not the easiest thing to do when you are using a mouse. But this is obviously like a sort of a flipped lesson whereby you could be describing a grammar point, whatever it might be. And that's how that works. I press pause. I then click clear. I then go back to the color I want to then draw with. I record again like this. Okay, I'm now going to write the word goodbye, but I could be describing how to form the perfect tense, for example. I'm going to change color again. This is great for the students as well to explain the concept to each other. And I press pause again. I can then clear the page again, and away you go. The other nice thing as well that you can do at any point in Flipgrid is click here, which is the sticky notes option, and then put some like prompts on the screen to help you remind you what you want to say. and that doesn't appear in the final video, which is very nice. So then I click next. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw on the screen. I'm going to write the word hello, which is not the easiest thing to do when you are using a mouse. But this is obviously like a sort of a flipped lesson whereby you could be describing a grammar point, whatever it might be. And that's how that works. I press pause. Okay, I'm now going to write the word goodbye, but I could be describing how to form the perfect tense, for example. I'm going to change color again. This is great for the students as well to explain a concept to each other. And I press pause again. Okay, so okay, fantastic. Click next, click submit. There we are. And I'm just, while that's uploading as well, I'm going to show you one other thing quickly with Flipgrid. I'm going to go to a new page and I'm going to show you the screen recording option. So if I go to Google Earth, like this, click Google Earth and then launch it. Okay. This is an idea I got from Russell Stannard on his amazing YouTube channel. And well, I think it's a really nice idea. And I just sort of tweaked it a little bit, as it were. So let's wait for Google Earth to come up. I'll just get rid of the other page there. So we've just got Google Earth. Just wait for it to launch like this. Click on the globe. So we then go all the way out. So we can just see the globe appearing. So you get it set up first of all, like that. So we can now see the full globe. We then go back to Flipgrid. I click record. I click options here and I click record screen. Start screen recording. Okay, I choose the Chrome tab. I choose Google Earth. There we are. And I move my little thumbnail over on the left-hand side. Right. So what I could do, I'm recording right now. What I could do is I could click on the search option and go to a particular place, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to click on this option here, which is I'm feeling lucky. So the suggestion is I can go literally anywhere in the world. So I'm going to an island in Indonesia. Fantastic. So I'm hovering over Banda in Indonesia, and I'm going to say to the students, okay, what can you see? I can see 4 islands. I can see the Banda Island, Rosengane Island. Where are we? We're in Indonesia, etc., etc. Now, normally what I'm going to do is I would click on the peg man on the right-hand side and drop him in. Let's see if there's Street View here. I'd be surprised if there is, but let's just see if Street View is. Oh, it is available. Okay, something normally it isn't for an island. Wow, brilliant. So we've gone into Street View and now perfect, right? And now we could be saying, okay, so how is this man feeling? Where is he? What's the weather like? What sort of t-shirt has he got on? Oh, wow. Okay, fair enough. What's he doing? What has he been doing? Where's he going? What are these people doing? Amazing. Are we in the town? Are we in the countryside? Where are we? Okay, brilliant stuff. And then you just click on the I'm feeling lucky again, and you go somewhere else. So now I'm going to France, an island of Corsica. Wow, going to another island. Fantastic. Normally we don't normally always go to islands, but anyway, that's all good. Right. So again, you could be saying, okay, so what can you see? I can see an airport. I can see I think that's like a lake, isn't it? Let's try and go into Street View again. Let's see if this is available. I think it will be. Yep, we're going in. Okay. And then what are we going to see? Okay, so now, right. So again, you can say, okay, so where are we? What can we see? What's the weather like? We can't see any people on this one. Okay, let's try one other. Hopefully we're going to go into a city. Right, now we're going to Ohio. Okay, the Ohio State House. So we're probably going to be inside for this one rather than outside. Let's just wait and see what happens. Okay. There we are. So it's just loading up now. So again, we could be I could be asking the children what can they see. Let's do a peg man, drag him in, and see if we're actually going to go inside the State House. No, we're outside. Okay. So again, you can say, okay, so what can you see? Just, I just think this is great for that sort of random, exciting nature of using Google Earth. Promoting culture, and you can go literally anywhere in the world. So I really like it. I think it's really nice. And then you go back to Flipgrid, stop recording, left-hand side. Right. So what I could do, I'm recording right now. What I could do is I can also move this. Can you see here? If I click here, right. So what I could do, I'm recording right now. What I can now move this to the point where I want it to start. Fantastic. So I'm hovering. Fantastic. So I'm hovering over. If I wanted it to start a bit later, I can do that, and then I just click confirm again. Fantastic. So I'm next again. Click submit. Okay, and then it will then upload. And that's it. So those are a few ideas around Flipgrid. I'm sure you've got other things you want to suggest as well around Flipgrid, but those are some of my top tips on using Flipgrid for speaking practice. So this would be asynchronous speaking practice, whereby the teacher would create a topic, record a video, and then the children can then either access Flipgrid from home, or they could also do it at school if they did it, say, at the front or outside the classroom, or what have you. But I think it's a really nice solution for asynchronous speaking practice. And there we are. So those are a few ideas around Flipgrid. Let me go back to my presentation. Click present. Okay, and let's carry on. Right, so I'm part of another community of language teachers. This is international school teachers from Europe. My friend Francois Stolder, who I met originally back in about 5-7 years ago, I think, in Bangkok. He was head of languages at the Harrow International School in Bangkok. And we've stayed in touch. He's now in Budapest, and he has started up a community that meets normally about once a month via Zoom, and we just share ideas. So in this particular meeting, we were talking about ways in which we can practice speaking in the COVID secure classroom. One of the suggestion was of having speaking circles, presenting to the class as an audience. You can see the little text there. Outside Flipgrid interaction with mask off. The interviewer sits behind the computer and asks questions from a distance, and the interviewee is recorded by the camera in front. So some more ideas for you to then check out, which I thought I would share with you today. Another thing which has proved really popular is Flippity Randomiser. So flippity.net is a website which has lots of different free exercises, all of which are generated using a Google Sheet. I'm just going to focus today on a couple of ideas, but this is the actual an example right now. So as you can see, this is in French. The idea, this is based on a sentence builder, whereby you've got different items in different columns, and the wheel will generate random sentences taking one item from each column. So in this one, if I spin the wheel, it will come up with, I love to play football at the weekend, but when it is hot, and then you spin again, and then it carries on making another sentence. Another little trick you can do as well is if you have a Chrome extension called Helper Bird installed, you can do the following. If I right click the text here and I go to where it says Helper Bird, and I click on Tools, and I go to where it says Immersive Reader. Immersive Reader is a Microsoft tool, and it should recognize the language automatically, which means if I click play, it should say it back to me in French. Let's just see if it works.
J'adore jouer au foot le week-end, mais quand il fait chaud.
Okay, sometimes it sort of says the French in an English accent, which sounds awful, but if you just refresh the page, it will then work. And if you click on the cog here, you can change it from male to female, vice versa. You can also speed up the voice speed or slow it down, although she does sound a bit drunk when you slow her down, but anyway, but you get the idea. Okay, now another idea that you can do here, if we go back here, is if I go to the next one, this is an example of the Google Sheet that you then create. So as I said, you take one item from each column, and it then generates a sentence, which is just fantastic. Yeah, I think it's awesome as well, Sophia. Lots of people in the MFL Twitter have been getting crazy about this. Here's a little mashup between Flipgrid screen recording and Flippity Randomiser. I think I've got enough time to play this live. So I'm going to click on the link now. This is a couple of minutes long, but it'll give you a flavor of how this works. This is from a friend of mine, Mike Elliott, who's a head of languages in England. I'll just play it and it'll be self-explanatory. Here we go.
Hi, so this is an idea of how to use a Flippity Randomiser within Flipgrid in order to offer students the opportunity to practice pronunciation and simultaneous or spontaneous translation, hopefully in quite an easy and engaging way. So I've created a topic on a Flipgrid that I have for my Year 7 class. I have include some instructions. Okay, so click on this randomizer link. So that's a Flippity randomizer that's been created already. I've asked students to open it in another window. I've already got it open here. Okay, so it's already ready to go. I've then asked students to record their video, but instead of recording their face, I want them to record their screen, which you can do. And then within that, they need to select the randomizer screen. That's the one to record. And then I've set the video for 3 minutes. And what I want them to do in that 3 minutes is to read out whichever randomly generated sentences they have, read them out in French, and then to translate them immediately into English, and to do as many of them as they can in 3 minutes. So I'm going to show you how you would do that. So I'm logged on as a student now. If you click on here to record a response, it's going to give me some options here as to what we can record. So I don't want to record my face. I want to record my screen. Okay, so I'm going to capture my screen. I'm going to click on that. I'm then going to choose an application window. So I'm going to click on that. So this is now, so now I'm going to flip to that and start doing it. Okay, so mon frère est assez généreux. My brother is quite generous. Ma mère peut être vraiment travailleuse. My mother can be really hardworking. Ma tante est vraiment amusante. My aunt is really funny.
Okay, so hopefully you get the idea. What Mike's doing there is suggesting you can use Flippity Randomizer with Flipgrid as a way of practicing pronunciation, as well as practicing translation as well, which I just think is really nice. The MFL Twitterati, as I've said already, have been going crazy about using Flippity. Here are some examples taken from different schools from around the world. So again, we've got Alice Smith from Malaysia talking about using Flippity. We've got Miss B there talking about using Flippity for time phrases, pronouns, and verbs. Jay talking about Mike's tutorial and how it's great for assessing speaking skills, etc., etc. Let's go on to the next one. This is my friend Catherine Bellers, who's a language teacher in the south of England, and she emailed me these instructions. This is what she does with Flippity in her own languages classroom, and I just thought I would share this with her permission, obviously. So she just gives lots of different instructions on how you can use Flippity for practicing the target language as well as translation as well. Right, quicker conversations. We haven't got a lot of time for this, but I think we can probably just go for it if I do it quickly. Because it's much better for me to demonstrate this live. So if I click here and I click here, this is again great for speaking practice. So you have to be logged in, which I am. So if I click on create instant feedback and I click here where it says start a quicker conversation. Okay, you can put in a title here or a tag to help remember which ones you've done, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to go for it. So I'm going to click record. Blah, 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 blah. This is the first line of my conversation, or it could be a presentation, and then I can then give feedback to it. So I've just recorded some audio. It uploads onto the servers, which are based in the UK or in the EU, depending on which version of the site you're using. This was developed by a physics teacher in the southwest of England. I could take a photo to add a photo as a prompt for an exercise. I can add text, I can add a web link as well, all for free. The audio is stored for up to 3 months. And then after that, if you want to keep it for longer or forever, you have to pay something like €2 or £1.50 a month to do that. I also really like this feature. You can disconnect all these other options. If you only want the microphone to appear, you can moderate the conversation, which is fantastic for use in secondary schools. And then you click start your quicker conversation. So what will happen now is that goes on the screen. I then copy the link and I post it in the chat for you. So if you wanted to go to that, then that would allow you to record some audio and send it straight to my page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the camera on my iPad. I'm going to click on the Chrome extension here, which is called the QR code extension. I'm going to scan my QR code there in order to bring up the quicker conversation link on my iPad. And then as a result of that, I then will get the blue microphone appearing on my screen. I'll get rid of that now. And then I can now press record, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tap on the microphone press record, tap allow, blah, 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 blah. This is the second part of my conversation, or it could be feedback to a presentation that the students have done. I could use this in breakout rooms, or I could do this as asynchronous speaking practice at home as a homework. It's very, very simple to use, and everything is moderated. I then tap stop, it uploads onto the servers. If I refresh, yeah, can you see it's all there? If I click play, blah, 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 blah. This is the second part of my conversation, or it could be feedback to a presentation. Okay, and I click approve. What I would absolutely love is if someone could record, oh, someone has already done it for me. Thank you so much. Let me click play and see whether it's appropriate or not. Here we go.
Wow, Joe, this is great. I did know of QWIQR, but not of the conversations feature. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Vicky. That's great. So I'm going to click approve, and that's all good. And I can click lock the conversation, which means no one else can then post onto my conversation link, which is just perfect. And there we are. That's QWIQR conversation, and it's fabulous. Okay, there's a little video tutorial to go through what I've just shown you as well, which is on my YouTube channel. Okay. Here's lots more ideas around speaking homeworks that you can use using technology. And just a thought, I hope it's okay to do this, but just a thought, if you do want to need extra help with remote teaching ideas, I have put together 18 example sessions of things I can help with. Just get in contact and I can design something bespoke for you. And wow, we did it. That's my presentation. So I'm just going to put the link in the chat, is.gd/LTSIG OCT 2020. And there we are. So we've got 4 minutes to go. If you want to ask me any questions, feel free to do so. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand over to the host, either Vicky or Phil, I believe.
Hey, thanks, Joe. That was good.
Thank you.
You know, I did know of all the tools you showed, but you showed many more features than I knew about. So
Good.
That was great. Yeah.
Thank
Especially Flipgrid, it has upgraded the game a lot.
For sure, for sure. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy. I've got another 3 minutes before I have to go. If there are any questions that people want to ask me, I still got the chat open. Hi, Alinka, nice to see you. I've still got the chat open. And don't forget, everything's being recorded, so that's lovely. And Phil has given you permission to unmute yourself as well if you want to do that.
Yeah, we've got time for a question if Alenka or anybody else wants to say something. I know you are very, you're participating a lot in that, Alenka, so maybe you had something to say. Lots of experience using Flipgrid particularly.
Cool.
Well, hang on a minute or so.
You have left everybody.
I've blown everyone's mind. Well, hopefully. I mean, to be fair, I know I went through that quite slickly, but I have done, similar presentations a few times. So if you want to obviously watch it again, it's going to be up on the LTSIG YouTube channel. You'll be able to watch it again with a pause button and then go through the ideas. But there was a big upgrade to Flipgrid in August of this year, and I tried to show some of the new features, even for those people that are used to using Flipgrid. But I think it is amazing. Right, yeah, so I'll put the link in again. So it's just a bit further up, but I'll just do that again. So it's is.gd/, I think I put it in wrong. That's the problem. Let me just do that again. So it should be let me just make sure I missed the T. I put an I, LTSIG. Yeah, that's it. Apologies, I put it in wrong. So it's LTSIG OCT 2020. All lowercase. There we are. Thank you for pointing that out, Gary. That's brilliant. Okay.
We have a question from Olivia. Do you have any recommendations for tools for teaching pronunciation online?
Well, I think these tools that I've talked about, Flipgrid, you could use that with the whiteboard. Yeah. You could use QWIQR for pronunciation. You could use inserting audio into Google Slides or into PowerPoint. Any sort of presentational software with audio facility you can use. There's an app by Apple Clips, which is nice for having subtitles on the screen and being able to record your voice at the same time. I'd recommend some of those. Okay, I need to go now if it's okay, but thank you ever so much, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. Do stay in touch. If you want any extra help with remote teaching, let me know. I've given you my contact details and I've shared the presentation with you. And I'm going to hop onto another webinar in literally a couple of minutes, showing people how to use Google Tour Creator for virtual reality in the Arabic classroom with a group of American Arabic teachers. So it should be a lot of fun. But thanks ever so much for the opportunity. Great work, guys. And I'm happy to support in the future. You're welcome.